So I'm good at games. Card games, board games, skill games, they just kind of work in my brain. I pick them up quickly, I devise a strategy, and I win games most of the time, to the annoyance of my friends. Some things in life are just like that. We all have the things that we're inherently pretty good at. New activities where some previous skills or previous abilities easily apply, and it feels good. Jumping into a new activity and already feeling like you can be successful. Recently, I went axe throwing with some friends in Michigan. This is a new fad all over the country. You have some drinks, you throw some hatchets. Very safe. So my friends and I get there early. We're watching other people throw axes, and I thought, whoa, I'm going to be great at this. So we get the tutorial, you get an extensive safety talk, and we start playing, and it turns out I am really bad at throwing axes, just not a skill. We threw probably about 25 times in the hour, and more than half of them just bounced off. And the ones that did stick in the board were rarely anywhere close to a target. I still had a good time, but I'm sure I would have had a better time if I was just good at it, right? If it had come to me naturally. Now, axe throwing is decidedly low stakes, right? No, there's no betting. Nobody looked at me differently or lost respect for me because I couldn't accurately throw an axe into a board. There are places in life where being good at something like your job, like taking care of others, or finances, where these things are really important. But I'm not talking about those things today. We're talking about things that have the potential to enrich your life in little ways or big ways that we avoid because we're not good at them and don't want to go through the struggle. When we approach something new that doesn't come to us easily, we have some decisions to make. Right? The first decision is, do I need to be better at this to enjoy it? And maybe not. Right? Some things are just about process and not product. There are plenty of people who are terrible at playing golf. They love playing golf, and their being terrible does not change how they feel about their experience. There are so many activities like that, and if you're not inherently good at something, but love doing it that way, keep doing it. Fantastic. Another question arises, though, when we aren't instantly good at something, which is it worth it? Will improving at this activity enrich my life, my community, or the world around me? For instance, I'm terrible at golf. No matter what club it is, driver to pitching wedge, I hit it about 50 yards forward and 50 yards to the right, usually onto like another hole or a road or something. Early in college, on occasion I would play golf with my friends who were also really bad at golf, and that was fun. But they decided they wanted to get better. So they were going to the driving range, they took some private lessons, they were playing more regularly. But the time and expense that it would have taken to be good at golf, to improve my golf game, just wasn't worth it to me. So I stopped. A decidedly different story. In college, I was the assistant conductor of an 80-voice collegiate choir, and one week, the director was away, so I had a full 2-hour rehearsal all to myself. So I set up a camera, which is normal when your job is waving your arms through the air. And I thought the rehearsal went pretty well. And then the next day I went home, I tossed in the video, and I watched it, and I was bad. My gestures, they were all over the place. My verbal communication was not concise, and I wasn't making the choir better. I was bad at something. But this something was really, really important to me. So I started a choir. I got 12 of my friends together. We did a concert of way too much music that was way too hard. And when I listen back to that recording, there are some really beautiful moments and a lot of not so beautiful moments and some comically bad moments. But I was a better musician at the end of that process. And process is the important word here. I have studied with a lot of top-tier choral conductors in my life, but my most important teachers, without a doubt, have been the choir members here at UUCA. They're not there anymore. They left. We have spent hundreds and hundreds of hours together making art with varying levels of success, but always a lot of joy. We go through the fire together every single week. We pull out a new piece of music, and of course, we're going to be bad at it the first time we read through, right? Of course we are. And then the next time, maybe a few times, we're still going to be bad at it, but we learn it together, and we build skills, long-term skills, along the way. It is a wonderful microcosm of being bad for a short while and then presenting a product to hundreds of people a few days later, as they just did. I am very pleased with how the choir sounds right now. In fact, they sound ludicrously good. They've only had 3 rehearsals this year, and I couldn't be more pleased with what they're doing. Yes. But in our process, we will continue to improve throughout the season. It's just what we do. Like Ira Glass said in the video we watched, sometimes you just need to keep creating and great things happen. This is a short excerpt from a book called Art and Fear, Observations on the Perils and Rewards of Making Art by David Bales and Ted Orion. It says, the ceramics teacher announced on opening day that she was dividing the class into 2 groups. All those on the left side of the studio, she said, would be graded solely on the quantity of the work they produced. All those on the right side would be graded solely on the work's quality. Her procedure was simple. On the final day of class, she would bring in her bathroom scale, weigh the work of the quantity side. 50 pounds or better gets an A, 40 pounds gets a B, and so on. Those on the quality side, however, needed to produce only 1 pot, albeit a perfect one, to get an A. Well, grading time came, and a curious fact emerged. The works of the highest quality, of course, were produced on the quantity side. It seems that while the quantity group was busily turning out piles and piles of work, and in the process learning from their mistakes, the quality group sat theorizing about perfection, and in the end had little more to show for their efforts than grandiose theories in a pile of dead clay. It's a harsh last sentence. I didn't write it. So sometimes UUs get caught in theories. Also, sometimes we forget that even though the average level of intelligence in this room is shockingly high, and it is, that we are going to make mistakes. Early in my career as a choral conductor, I noticed that choirs sight read a brand new piece of music very sheepishly. Everyone is trying to avoid singing wrong notes, to avoid making mistakes at all costs. This is a recipe not only for tight, unhealthy singing, but for fear and anxiety working itself into a choral rehearsal. I've spent over a decade encouraging choirs to read new music boldly. Mistakes be damned, just go for it. I feel like we all have this kind of PTSD from our school experience, from trying to avoid that red X, the lower score, the bad grade. In life, you are going to make mistakes, so stop avoiding them. Make the mistakes with gusto and then fix them. Benjamin Zander, master educator and conductor of the Boston Philharmonic Orchestra, says this. He says, I recommend when you make a mistake, go like this. How fascinating! Want to try it? How fascinating! It's much better because it takes away the we all feel when we make a mistake. Mistakes naturally pull us down. They make us shrink. They make us want to hide and make stank faces. Right? It feels much, much better to go, how fascinating, and then move on. Right? We're going to make mistakes anyway. We might as well be nice to ourselves in the process. If you can walk, you can dance. If you can talk, you can sing. I just love this proverb, the Zimbabwean proverb. I love its depth. It says, stop overthinking it. Stop telling yourself what you can't do. Stop telling yourself what you can't do. People tell me all the time, people approach me constantly to tell me that they can't sing. When people tell me they can't sing, they're actually saying the wrong thing. What they mean is, I'm not good at singing yet. I'm not good at dancing yet. I'm not good at drawing or public speaking, math, gardening, axe throwing yet. Yet is a powerful word. It is a hopeful word. Maybe you aren't good at the thing. And maybe you don't want to be good at the thing, but it doesn't mean that you can't do the thing. It just means you haven't gone through the struggle yet. One piece of being a welcoming community is that we are a place where people are allowed to make mistakes and still be loved. Allowed to be bad at something, be in the struggle. We can change and grow and love each other through the process part, and we can all work harder on loving ourselves through the process part. All children love to sing. It's only when they hear an adult say, I can't sing, that they think, can I sing? Even worse is when a kid is singing and someone tells them to stop, that they shouldn't sing, that they're too loud, they're off key, they can't carry a tune. Someone kills that joy, that natural, childlike expression, and I know that has happened to many people in this room. When people tell me, oh, you don't want me singing in your choir, which I heard twice today, this morning, I don't hear a funny joke. I hear someone trying to laugh off trauma. Someone telling you you shouldn't do something, especially something you really enjoy, is a traumatic event, and it causes long-term shame. It's not that you can't do it. You just haven't learned how to do it great yet. One struggle for us as a group of progressive people is dealing with progress. The nature of being progressive is that the bar will be moving. That's what progress is. The arc of the moral universe continues to bend towards justice and inclusion, and that is what we want. We want the bar to move, even if sometimes we react poorly to the change, and it makes us cranky. My favorite Christmas carol is called I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. It's a setting of a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and every verse ends with peace on earth, goodwill to men. The choir has sung this song many, many times because it's my favorite. And even though I was gently asked often to change the last line to goodwill to all, I didn't for many years. One musical reason is that it is easier for a choir to tune singing the word men, an e vowel with an n at the end, than all, an a vowel with an l at the end. You don't have to know why, it's just true. But I also balked at the idea of changing words from such an esteemed poet. I mean, come on. Of course he meant all when he wrote men. It took me too many years to realize how important representation is. That saying men to mean all is inherently exclusive of more than half of the population. We now sing peace on earth to all goodwill, which fixes the musical issue and fixes the issue that I was woefully blind to for far too long. UUs did a great job getting rid of the patriarchal language in our hymnals, right? When readings or hymns used brothers or men to refer to everyone, we changed it to brothers and sisters, or women and men. We took the word Lord and put a whole bunch of other words in its place. Sometimes, by changing the text, we took out so much of the poetic cadence, so much of the poetic beauty, that the readings and songs are no longer useful. Casualties in the quest for equality. Okay. Now, we're being asked to use even more inclusive language when we just got used to the change. Progress. It's great. The target will keep moving. I still struggle with our hymn, We'll Build a Land. We changed the text to, Come build a land where siblings and sages, in place of, where sisters and brothers. I struggle with it because sisters and brothers carries a certain amount of poetic weight, right? And because it's familiar. Familiar is always easier. But sometimes we need to struggle with something for a while because it not only serves us, it serves our community, and it serves the wider world. Using gender non-binary language is tricky because most of us haven't been taught to do it well yet. We use singular they and them all the time. People who are gender non-binary use they, them pronouns, and we use singular they, them. Hey, who's delivering your pizza? They are. If we don't know if it's a man or a woman, we just say they all the time. It's just bringing that into other times in our lives. We also say they are as a singular. They are, not they is. I learned this from a gender non-binary person who helped me with my well-meaning bit of ignorance. You see, intelligent, caring people will make mistakes. They will, and they will, and they will, and you will, and I will. And we can continue to try to change and do better because that's what progress looks like. Being exclusive is easy if everyone in the room is the same, if we all believe the same thing. It is easy not to offend each other. It's easy not to struggle, but here we welcome differences and we encourage them. And by that very nature, we are going to struggle and make mistakes and try to do better. How fascinating! We can actively support each other in the struggle instead of beating each other back, instead of calling each other to the mat every time we make a mistake. It is hard work, and we are going to be bad for a while. And the target's going to move, and we're going to be bad for a while again, and we're going to keep trying. We're going to dig into the struggle, the frustration. We're going to grow. We're going to change. Our lives and our community will be enriched in the process. May we have permission to be bad. May we always be kind to each other in the struggle. May it be so.